Good evening, my fellow seekers of serenity and happiness. Tonight we're going to hopefully finish off looking at the pros and the cons of meditation. These are final look anyway at the if there are any drawbacks, what they are. We've looked at the side effects and what it's not going to do. It's not going to send you off on a big sort of spiritual swings and roundabouts. If you're already on that journey, meditation isn't going to make it any better, any worse. It's just going to be a bit like deciding to go to the gym and you need some equipment, so you go and you buy, I don't know, a water bottle and some sweatbands or something like that. It's going to be the equivalent to doing that. You're already there. We've looked at what happens. Oh, we haven't looked at what happens when you meditate. No, sorry, I've got this little list here to consult. I was saying that I knew one person who it affected him in a way. He was meditating as a 16, 17-year-old. And I met him a few years later when he passed on his secrets, because when you do transcendental meditation, you are sworn to secrecy about the method. But in fact, what they're swearing you to secrecy about is, because the method's widely known, it's about the mantra that they give you. But to say that he's got a trademark on how it's done, it's repeating a mantra, which is a lot older than the Maharishi was at that time. Predates him by a lot. Anyway, this 16, 17-year-old took to meditation and it really chilled him out. He said he was quite an excitable person before he began doing it. But the problem was the system of exams in the UK called A-levels, and they are the exams you take which determine whether you go to the university of your choice or whether you go to university at all, or college or any establishment of higher education. And he found that he was too relaxed from meditating, because it does relax you. He found that he was too relaxed and he wasn't taking them seriously, so he gave up meditating for the time it took to do his A-levels, and then he began again. So if that's a drawback, I suppose it could be if you stop taking things very, very seriously, which should be taken seriously. However, if you are highly stressed, and exams at that age are a severe cause of stress, let's be honest. If your stress is coming from other areas and it lowers your stress levels, meditation lowers your stress levels, then my personal conclusion is that that is not a bad thing in other situations, because, as I've said many, 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 many times, it allows you to distance yourself from the problem and you can see the wood for the trees. See the wood, forest, and the trees as well. When not to meditate. Obviously, you should not meditate when you're driving. You should not meditate when you are in a hazardous situation, i.e. you've left things cooking. Not a good idea if there's a likelihood that the things cooking could blow up or catch fire. When not to meditate as well, a lot of people say that, like caffeine, you should have an upper limit before you go to bed. So say 2 hours before you go to bed. If you go to bed at 11, don't meditate after 9 o'clock. Begin at 8:30, 8:40. Is meditation the same as praying? We've covered that several times. No, it's not remotely religious. You can make it religious if you want, but it's not in and of itself. It's a way of calming your mind and your body down. Is just thinking about something a form of meditation? No, you're just thinking about something, i.e. that is on the borderline of daydreaming. So you're contemplating something, giving it your consideration, analysing a poem for an essay, for example, you're thinking about something, you're not meditating. You've got to do far too much analytical work there, and meditation is the opposite. It's calming all your thought processes down. Meditating to visualize and affirm. Yeah, we touched upon that yesterday. No, it's not. Affirmations can be a form of meditation, but by and large, they're not. So what meditation cannot do for you? Well, it's not going to... Some people say that they start meditating and they tune into something in the universe and they get this intuitive series of numbers and they put them in and they know somebody and they got 5 out of the 6 lottery things, but they got scared. And it's funny, they never ever seem to A, follow through, B, they never seem to repeat it, this success. Otherwise, they'd be winning the lottery every single week, wouldn't they? So I don't believe that. I'm skeptical. I mean, maybe it happens once. It's got to happen to a lot of people. I mean, some people have won the lottery multiple times, 2 or 3 times. So that can happen, but it's more about statistical likelihood than anything else. I don't think that it makes you tune into anything out there. I have my own story about psychic phenomena, about something which was statistically unlikely and a prediction on somebody's part, which I may share with you at some point. But, oh, please excuse me. It's my alarm going off. There's something I need to do in a couple of moments. See, the alarms. An interruption. About 25, 30, 40 years ago, I would have been livid about that, smoking. But yes, my lifestyle now is very, very different. I tend to laugh at everything. Yeah, there's a lot of things that meditation can't do. That anything that sounds, we all want there to be a fairy godmother. We all want a genie in the bottle. We all want these wonderful, benign things to exist. It would be great if they did, but the fact is, we live in a world where sometimes fortunate things happen. We call it serendipity. They're statistically unlikely. When they are really statistically unlikely, we call it a miracle. But the fact is, they happened, so it was possible for them to happen. If it's possible for it to happen, it's not really a miracle. It's not come from outer space. It's not come from another dimension. You may feel like you've been looked after, and you may feel lucky, and perhaps statistically a lot of good things happen to you. I think that everybody's lucky. They just don't take the time to acknowledge it and express gratitude for it. And as I said about 3 weeks ago, doing that is a very good way to start your journey towards becoming happy, because when you realize how lucky you actually are in some areas, then that is a huge step towards upping your happiness levels and downing your stress levels, because you'll realize that the world that you inhabit is not such a malign place after all. What do I mean by the world you inhabit? Well, let's put it like this. A fish inhabits the world of the sea or the river. We inhabit houses, animals that live in trees. I'm presuming snakes do occasionally. And birds and bats, and their area is that. There are animals that live on mountains, animals that prefer fields. You know, that is their environment. So, you know, statistically, good things happen to us, and statistically, bad things are bound to happen as well, because that's statistics. It's negatives and positives, and that's how life works. So meditation isn't going to make you luckier, and equally it's not going to make you worse off. It will shift your perception, though, of where you are meditating. To visualize, daydreaming, thinking about meditation, same as praying. It's not self-hypnosis, covered that. I don't actually believe in self-hypnosis, but that's only because it doesn't work on me. I can't do it. It's quite possible that the other 90% that 10%, the other 90% can. Drawbacks, just discussed that. It might get a bit too laid back. Side effects, increased serenity, increased calmness. Another side effect would, but by those I mean that things will go and you'll stop laughing, or you'll just accept. I'm not saying you'll become a doormat or anything like that, but you'll tend to shrug and it won't faze you, and you'll be less likely to succumb to road rage. You'll become more distant about and able to help your friends as well with their problems, because instead of getting all worked up on their behalf when they describe injustices that have happened to them, you'll be able to express sympathy, but at the same time maybe see where you can, or they can be helped, and then volunteer, ask if they want help. Yeah. Never force it on them. The other thing as well is, once you do start meditating, if you do find it beneficial for you, don't tell everybody. Yeah. Don't go around. You can mention it casually if it comes up in conversation, but that will be one side effect. A lot of people, they start this new diet, this new that, and they've got to tell everybody, and they become insufferable. So if you find that meditating is something that you take up and you get a good kick out of it, or you get, not a kick exactly, but a lot of benefit from it, keep it to yourself. I'm not saying selfishly don't share the secret. I'm just saying don't bore everybody to death telling them, because that will be a side effect that other people will notice and you won't. You'll be full of enthusiasm. All right, that has gone way over 5 minutes, way over 8 minutes. So we're near 13 minutes. Thanks for bearing with me. I hope it's been of use. Today is the last of the kind of pros and cons of meditation. Tomorrow we'll start looking at one or two practical forms of, we'll look at the different kinds and I'll give you an example of each. So, okay, we'll do that tomorrow. Good night, and here's to your greater happiness and your serenity.